Hello everyone. A couple of days ago, I showed you a video which had a lot of celestial objects as either 0 degrees or 29 degrees, and I talked to you about what the anaretic degree means and how we treat anaretic positions in a natal chart in karmic astrology. And on the 22nd of January, around 10 o'clock London time, I did not produce a London chart because it doesn't really matter. Not the chart itself is what's important, but a number of celestial objects are going to be at 0 degree. And if we look at anaretic placements in the chart and 0 degree placements, there are 4 steps to look at them. First of all, if you have an anaretic planet at 29 degrees something and it's direct, it is anaretic, yes. It means that the native has not been able to surpass or understand or make it work that particular celestial object. And if in secondary progressions it moves into 0 degrees, if it's an outer planet, it could take decades. If it's Mercury or Venus, of course, it will take only a day or two. But then once it is in 0 degrees, first it has to get it has to get accustomed really to the new energy pattern. But after that, it really is going to go forward. Whenever a planet or celestial object changes signs, take a look at it as the energy pattern that changes. And of course, if you consider where planets are, then you know quite well that there are some signs which are perfect, some signs which aren't. Actually, they are not very nice. And then there are those that are really neutral. Of course, each planet is feels best, let's put it this way, in its own sign when it's its ruler. And the opposite sign is where it is in detriment. And in karmic astrology, whenever you see a planet in detriment, don't be afraid. It's not such a big deal. It's not such a horrible thing. You can utilize that particular celestial object for others. Whereas if it's in its own sign, you can utilize it on for yourself. But the fact remains that when an anaretic planet moves into the next sign, it will be accustomed to that new sign, and it will take another form. It will have a different manifestation. This is the best. So this is the best anaretic placement. If you have an anaretic planet and it is direct, sooner or later it will move into the next sign, and you will have the time and energy and occasion to learn how it works in that new sign. And this feeling of being stuck or being hindered will slowly diminish. At the same time, when it's retrograde and anaretic, the problem is that it will never actually move into the next sign. It will go backwards and you won't have this shift. And then you sometimes have 0 degree planets. And the 0 degree planet, if it is direct, it will move forward in that new energy, that new energy pattern, a new sign. And it usually signifies that in previous incarnations, you managed to push it through, you managed to make the shift, and now all it needs is this strengthening impact, which takes some time, but as it is moving forward in the sign, so you will learn how to accomplish things according to that archetype in that new sign. But when you have a 0 degree planet and it's retrograde, it will move back into the previous sign, and it will become again anaretic. And it simply means that this particular planet, although it moved forward, doesn't feel well in this new sign, or is either it has a feeling that it needs to do something in the previous sign, or simply wants to go back into that energy which feels better than the new one. So these are the anaretic placements in the chart. And on the 22nd, a number of things are around 0 degree or 29 degree. Here is the this is the Budapest chart. So I didn't have the time, I apologize too, but it doesn't really matter. Sometimes I do this, that I don't place the chart into London. So disregard the Chiron on the ascendant, because on the descendant, because it won't be relevant for Budapest. But I chose the time 21:51. So it's at 9:51 p.m. London, because the moon has just moved into Cancer. Okay, so that is what the displacement means. So if we have yet another celestial object at 0 degrees. Of course, the moon goes there every 27 and a half days. But again, it actually fills the whole chart with energy and consciousness, and the subconscious need to understand on the spiritual level and not just on the mental level something. Okay, there are a number of conjunctions, and also there is a quincunx between the South Node and Uranus, which again becomes exact on the 22nd, but both are retrograde, and both are very, very slow moving. So actually, there is really a door opening for change about old habits, which is actually going to last for quite some time until the full moon on the 25th for sure. We are going to look at the full moon as well, I promise. So here you have the asteroid Lilith, which has just moved into Sagittarius with Pallas Athena, which is still in Scorpio. Two strong women, strong, independent, feminine. Pallas Athena is wisdom, and Lilith is revolt against injustice. Venus is still at the very end of Sagittarius, and so is the dark moon Lilith. Dark moon Lilith moves 3 degrees a day, so it will move into Capricorn the next day, and so does Venus. It will shift into Capricorn. And in Sagittarius, Venus is very boastful and loves movement and travel and parties. And in Capricorn, although it's also an earth sign, and of course Venus is an earth planet because it rules Taurus. And so you would say that, okay, the same element is usually beneficial for a planet. But of course, Capricorn is freezing everything and putting in things into confinement. And this is something that Venus doesn't really like. But at the same time, in the next couple of weeks, you can learn how to be a little bit more frugal or sensible at least. So it gives you this added position where you can actually enjoy life in a less broad environment. And the Mars Mercury conjunction, which is an applying conjunction, and it will be exact in a couple of days. It will be quite close in the full moon chart on the 25th. And the Pluto-Sun conjunction is still tight, but already separating, simply because they were 2 days ago, they were exactly conjunct energetically. You might remember that. That was my previous video. And that's where I talked about energetic placements as well. So you might want to take a look at that if you want to understand it even more. And this is what we have with these celestial objects at the very end and the very beginning of the signs. We do have a boomerang, and boomerangs are very karmic aspects. It's right here, moon, Astrea, Lilith, dark moon, Venus, and sun, Pluto. And it is really an opposition with a finger of fate, a yod. And it is very karmic simply because you do have an opposition and a sextile within, and both are producing you or providing you with opportunities. The opposition tells you to try to incorporate both ends and stay in the middle. And the sextile gives you opportunities and working together. But the outer aspects are all karmic aspects, quincunx and semi-sextile. So that is why it's quite karmic. And you know what a boomerang does. It can take the curve and come back to you and hit you if you don't pay attention. In this particular boomerang, you have at the axis, you have moon Astrea, focus on, or actually take a look at what kind of karma breaking you can do. This particular Astrea is moving backwards. So it is what I talked to you about, that it could be at 0 degrees, but since it's retrograde, it will move back into Gemini. So it's really becoming energetic yet again. Sedna is energetic at the end of 29 degrees 29 Taurus. Lilith has moved into Sagittarius, so it's at 0 degrees 13, just moved into it. And the dark moon is at 28 degrees 7, so it's ready to become energetic. And Venus is at 29, 26, very energetic and ready to move into Capricorn. So those are the placements. I didn't put in the sun, unfortunately, but the sun is at 2 degrees, so it's still there in the configuration. And this configuration is really dissolved because the opposition is actually dissolved. There are two oppositions. One, the moon, Australia, opposite dark moon Lilith, asteroid Lilith is revolt against injustice. Dark moon, it is the acceptance of the curse. That's what it is. I'm not going to talk about the moon Venus opposition, but as you know, those are the two feminine planets, so now they are clashing. And of course, karma breaking is also clashing with I don't care, you can curse me energy. And the sun is still with Pluto, so you still have this magician aspect. And Sedna, the Sedna Lilith opposition, which is, if you take a look, Lilith is already in Sagittarius, but Sedna is still in Taurus. So this is an opposition which has a Quincunx energy. And this is another opposition here, which has a Quincunx energy with the moon and Lilith in Cancer opposite Venus and dark moon in Sagittarius, which are a Quincunx 150 degrees apart, the sign itself. And at the same time, these two Quincunxes are half bidirectional because Australia is retrograde. And with Lilith, you have a perfect quincunx, but with the moon sun quincunx is of course not bidirectional, it's monodirectional. Okay, so those are the placements. So you have here psychic energy infused into karma breaking. You have revolt against injustice, acceptance of the curse, and trying to find yourself in a new harmony pattern and getting acquainted, accustomed to it. And then the Pluto sun is the magician, and Sedna is change through dissection, transformation through dissection. Here are the transcendental celestial objects. And what was fascinating to me was the fact that all of a sudden we have a ton of uh, uh, fixed stars. In the previous videos, we didn't find any or not too many. It was really a starless energy pattern. All of a sudden, all these stars are becoming quite prominent. And I'm going to look at the stars first. In karmic astrology, stars are multidimensional worlds. First of all, if you look up the sky, you can see them. They are visible, but you know that they are not part of the solar system. They are far away, impossibly far away, actually, and not among our human experiences. They provide something else, something higher, something less understandable and more unique. Let's put it this way. And the soul, which is a multidimensional world, multidimensional entity, can go to these worlds and learn things. And it's usually these worlds where we learn to heal our karmic wounds or accept teachings and practices that may help us in a new incarnation, which seem to be quite difficult or harmful, and we want to kind of appease this energy. So let's take a look at the stars first. On the sun, you have Altair, which is Alpha Aquila, the celestial eagle. Two myths are linked to it. One is Orpheus, who goes down to the underworld to try to bring her wife Eurydice up to the living, among the living, and of course he manages to go down, but he's unsuccessful of bringing her back. And also it is Zeus in the form of a celestial eagle taking Ganymede up to the Mount Olympus with him. And in both cases, you have travel through dimensions. And Altair is one of the shaman stars, where you actually try to go up or down, try to manage different worlds, different dimensions. So that's what it is. It is only Pluto where we don't have a star, but we do have with the sun. So actually, Altar is kind of linked to Pluto as well. On the moon, you have two, Melancholia and Betelgeuse. I did have a video a couple of weeks ago where I showed you that these are at almost the very same degrees, or I think Melancholia is already at 0 degrees Cancer, but they are quite far apart in the sky because Melancholia is up to the north, it's Beta Auriga, and Betelgeuse is below the or around the celestial equator, but actually below the ecliptic, and it is one of the most beneficial stars according to Bernard Brady. It brings you unlimited success. It's the beta star of Orion. It's the actually the eastern shoulder of Orion. So you have two very different stars at the same degree. And actually Auriga, the constellation Auriga, is linked to the tarot chariot, which symbolizes that if you know what you want, if you have a plan, then you can win. It's you can overcome any difficulties or any handicaps, because Menkalian is also, I mean, Auriga also depicts Vulcan or Hephaestus, whose legs are deformed. So he built himself this chariot in order to go anywhere at a big space, so to cover big distances. So you can overcome your difficulties and or your handicaps. That's what it suggests. That is on the moon. And then on Venus, you have Sinistra, which is the left hand of the serpent holder, Ophiuchus, and it represents all sorts of healing methods that are unorthodox or are hidden or are forbidden. So that's what the whole constellation of Ophiuchus is, of course, about healing. And then on Lilith, you have Toliman, which is Alpha Centaur, which is a star with the whole constellation Centaur, which we won't be able to see because it's on the southern hemisphere, is about healing Chiron type wounds. And Toliman is the Alpha star, the main healing world. And on Ascendant is the Pleiades, which is the home of the creator goddess, but we have had that for a while, and we will have that for another year or so. Now let's take a look at the rest of the celestial objects, these transcendental objects. And by now you probably know that there are three layers here. Asteroids, which are magenta or purple, are the asteroids. They are the personal levels of karma. The blue ones are centaurs or TNOs, trans-Neptunians, which or Kuiper belt objects, which describe the nature and the type of your karmic wounds, how you got them, and what sort of abilities or phobias you acquired. And then the stars are the healing words for them. And on the moon, well, let's say take a look at the sun first. You have Amicus. Amicus used to travel together with Pluto for a while, and Amicus is the Aster. Well, actually, it's a centaur who doesn't care how he fights. He simply takes a candelabra from a nearby temple or sacred place, and starts to fight with it. So it's the mixture of the profane and the sacred. When I don't care what I use, but I want to win. And this is exactly what you saw around the world. I mean, take a look at the Hamas attack. They wanted to kill, they wanted to rape, they wanted to do horrible things, and they did. And they were total animals. And I don't care. I don't care. I'm not going to enter into discussion who is doing what. These are two nations, two tribes, and they behave in a tribal way, and they kill each other. And I just say that killing women and children are unacceptable and inexcusable. This is what I say in either side. Okay, having said that, let's take a look at the moon. And on the moon, sorry, first on Pluto. So you have Fortuna, for the goddess of fortune, and Hermes, the asteroid for, but actually it's a counterpart of Mercury, and he is the god of alchemists and magicians. So you can still utilize it with Pluto. And Orius, mitigated punishment. We discussed it many times. I'm not going to elaborate it even more. Okay, on Astrea, you have, of course, Odysseus, the um, well, the traveler. Let's put it this way: someone who is willing to travel and have all kinds of experiences. And then Chaos and Asbolus. And Asbolus is the seer, the oracle, who is ridiculed when he makes a mistake and totally disregarded when he's right. And chaos, of course, is chaos, and it's now on the karma breaking Astrea and the moon infuses it with consciousness. On Okay, on Lilith, you have Prometheus, the one who sees before, and Sato, toxic emotions. That's exactly what you see. Revolt against injustice through toxic emotions and hopefully knowing what will happen the next day. That's what you see everywhere. I mean, in Europe as well. I mean, everyone is up in arms. In Europe, and this is what I see in the United States as well, they are trying to do away with agriculture. And once you do away with agriculture, people will starve. And of course, what they want is they want us to eat artificial food. They want us to eat manufactured artificial food instead of nice grown food. And if this occurs, then it's the second largest genocide against humankind. The first one, of course, was the pandemic. This is the second one. So be aware and stay with the farmers, stay with the people, the peasants, the people who give you food. Okay. Then on the Lilith, dark moon Lilith, Venus conjunction, you have Electra and Osiris. Osiris, of course, is the lord of the underworld, but Electra is an interesting figure. She appears in the Minotaur myth, and she's the princess who actually makes her little brother to kill their mother. And this is the type of behavior when you are able to um, to get someone to do your dirty work. Okay, look around. That's exactly what's happening. You couldn't make this up, really. Okay, and on what else is there? I think I did tell you everything. So hopefully you. Okay, let's take a look at this is the other thing that I wanted to talk to you about, and this is the South Node Uranus. Quincunx, and it denotes the fact that you should dare to change, to make the changes, the necessary changes. First of all, the South Node in Libra denotes a behavior pattern from the past when you know that you need to have a balanced opinion, you want to be diplomatic, you don't want to hurt anyone, you don't want to enter into fights, you are cool, contented, aloof, reserved, not very, actually not emotional at all, you just shun emotions, and you try to be fair. You want to make fair decisions, balanced decisions, diplomatic decisions. And Uranus tells you not to do so. Uranus actually helps you to get rid of these patterns and helps you to enter into the destiny change that you have to make. We all have to make in these months. Actually, the nodal axis takes about 1.5 years to travel through those signs. And at the moment, all through the year, we'll have an Aries North Node, which is simply the the notion that we need to learn to fight for ourselves, for what is due, what we need to have, and get rid of this diplomatic, mishy-mushy behavior pattern that the South Node provides us with. which is an old pattern, and we need to develop the new pattern of fighting. Of course, Uranus denotes all kinds of change, and it usually takes 7 years for it to go through a sign. And whenever it goes through a sign, things associated with that sign get disrupted. And of course, Taurus is about well-being and harmony and money and security. And this is exactly what Uranus is now just shredding and disrupting. But now it's retrograde. So now it is really working inside or hidden a little bit. This is a monodirectional quincunx because both celestial objects go, or actually the North Node is, and the node lex is not objects, it's just a point in space, but still they are retrograde as well. So it means that you don't actually know how it will work. Sometimes a quincunx works as a trine and sometimes as an opposition or a square. That is why it's so disruptive and such a hard thing to delineate properly. If you have a monodirectional quincunx, that is. If you have a bidirectional, those work more like trines because the two planets go in different directions, and it helps you actually to adjust the karmic issue that is linked to the quincunx. And here the karmic issue is change. But since it's a monodirectional quincunx, it might be a little bit uneasy. So not very easy to do. Let's take a look at the transcendental objects. On the south node, you have Victoria, which is victory, of course. Go ahead, do it. On the north node, you have Seneca, the wise old guy, the philosopher. And on Uranus, you have Hungaria, which is Hungary, and Justitia, which is justice. And I was laughing because at the moment within the EU or the European Council, our prime minister is the only sane voice. He's the only one. Of course, he gets all kinds of labels, like he is a pet of Putin and he is a racist and homophobic and this and that and whatever. No, he's a voice. He's a normal voice. He's the only one who kept his sanity and normalcy within this cacophony of stupidity and ignorance and idiocy. And we may be the only ones who might steer the whole European Union back into normalcy. This is our role at the moment. And of course, we are the ones who hopefully can bring justice to all these issues that are really taking a very stupid turn. Let's put it this way. So Douglas Murray always asks the question, how come we forgot things that we knew before, that were obvious? And this is exactly where the world is now. And I think, unfortunately, there's another 1.5 to 2 years before we actually move into normalcy. Once the Saturn-Neptune conjunction occurs in Aries, that will be the turning point. And until then, we may have to make do whatever we have. And the Uranus South Node quincunx gives you the potential to change, dare to change. This is the time. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.